Some people dream of great accomplishments, while others stay awake and do them. Let's have a look at some of the terms you will need to become familiar with when working out the costs of running your own business. We'll start with variable costs. Variable costs are costs that change as the quantity of the good or services that a business produces changes. Variable costs occur in two subcategories. Cost of goods sold. These are the goods associated specifically with each unit of sale. These include the cost of materials used to make the product and the cost of labour used to make the product. Other variable costs. This can include commission, payment to the salesperson, shipping and handling charges, and packaging costs. Now, let's look at calculating gross profit per unit. We looked at this in session 7, but this time we will include more information in our table on variable costs. After you know your variable cost per unit of sale, you can calculate your gross profit. Subtract the cost of goods sold and other variable costs per unit of sale from your selling price per unit of sale. But how does this work if you're selling more than one type of product? Let's look at how we figure out the economics of one unit when selling more than one product. EOU can stand for economics of one unit. So if your business is selling many similar products, an average or typical EOU can be used. Let's look at an example. Claire sells 4 different types of keyrings. She sells them all for €3.50, but buys them from a wholesaler at different prices. She buys keyring A for 75 cents, keyring B for 90 cents, keyring C for €1.10, and keyring D for €1.25. Rather than make separate EOUs for similar products, Claire uses the average cost of each keyring to calculate the EOU for her business. She adds the cost of her 4 different keyring types together and divides by 4 to get an average cost, which in this case is €1. When we include the other variable cost, which is packaging, this brings the average cost per unit to €2. That makes the average gross profit per unit €1.50. Next, we look at fixed costs. Fixed costs do not change based on sales. Therefore, they are not included in the economics of one unit. Costs such as rent and phone bills are fixed costs. These are not included in your cost of goods sold because they are not direct costs incurred by creating the product or service. A cake shop has to pay the same rent each month, whether it sells 1 cake or 15 cakes. The most common fixed costs we see are utilities, such as gas, electric, telephone, and internet. Other fixed costs can be salaries, advertising, insurance, rent, loan repayments, and interest on loan repayments. It is important to understand that you will pay your fixed costs out of your gross profit. Fixed costs are a big challenge because they have to be paid whether or not the business makes any gross profit. The entrepreneur should be cautious about taking on fixed costs. Finally, we will look at the break-even point for a business. This is the number of units you must sell to meet all your costs involved in running the business. This is the point at which total revenue, money from your sales, equals total costs. It is important that an entrepreneur calculates the break-even point so that they are aware of the number of units they need to produce to cover their costs. Any units sold over the break-even point will be profit. If an entrepreneur is selling below the break-even point, then they are making a loss.